I'm Kyle Cottrell. I'm an assistant professor of biochemistry at Purdue University. I'm also a member of the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research. In our lab, we're interested in studying RNA binding proteins, and we use breast cancer as a model to study those proteins. And we're interested in trying to understand what they're doing in breast cancer and whether or not we could target those to treat some types of breast cancer, in particular triple-negative breast cancer, which doesn't have very good targeted therapies currently available. So we're really trying to use breast cancer in particular as a model to study those. We're working on how this works. Eventually some of those things might end up being therapies, but we're not too involved in actually identifying therapies or testing therapies. We're very much trying to understand what are these proteins doing. So the thing that I tell people that sort of most motivates me to be in the lab and doing research every day is the moment when you discover something in the lab that you're the only person in the world for that period of time that knows this exists. So that's a really rewarding part of the lab, is getting to learn something new that no one else knows briefly, and then eventually telling the world about that. What motivates me for the research we do is to discover new knowledge. But I'd say the other part that's motivating me, obviously, is finding therapies for this disease. It's a very deadly disease. Patients that have it are getting chemotherapy, which has all the horrible side effects that go with it. There's not very many good targeted therapies. So in addition to my own interest in generating knowledge, we're also potentially identifying drug targets for potential therapies in the future that could be used to treat triple-negative breast cancer. So one of the methods we use in the lab is Western blotting. It's a very old school technique, but it's quite useful nowadays as well. There's definitely a difference between training or mentoring undergrads versus graduate students. So undergraduate students are going to need a lot more hands-on help. Graduate students are similar when they first get started, depending on what their past experience is. They may need me to be there constantly during the first time they do an experiment, or maybe they can do it themselves the first time. But it really depends on the individual more than whether or not they're an undergrad or a grad student. I would say being a first-generation student informs a little bit how I teach, in that I recognize that not everyone's coming into the classroom with the same background. So I try and keep that in mind to make sure the class is a little more balanced for everyone. Trying to make sure that it's a level playing field for all students is important. You have to be somewhat stubborn and persistent to keep going through this, because there's a lot of failure. So I tell you, the rewarding aspect of the job is when you find something new, right? But most of the time you're gonna fail. So being able to deal with that failure and keep going is a bit of a challenge. So you gotta have some level of perseverance and stubbornness to keep doing that.